I have spoken to so many Black Americans who have either traveled to Africa or moved here permanently, and one of the things they say is this is the best decision of their life. They're always wondering what took them so long before they came to the continent, because some of the things that they've been fighting so hard for in America are easily and readily available here, and they just can't believe that a place like this exists. And these same words were echoed by Akon, who's a musician, and they couldn't be any truer.
Like, my goal is to get everybody to move back to Africa. That's my goal.
Okay.
I want to get as many African Americans back home to Africa as I possibly can. Because I know the day they move back, everything they fighting for in America, they will not have to fight for over there. All the struggle that they struggled over there, they're going to come there with this mindset, with this mentality, with the finances that they built, you know, the equity in life, and bring it back and invest that in Africa. Man, Africa could be the strongest nation in the world if y'all went back home. Because we got everything that it takes to be that. We got the resources, we got the land, we got the population, and together we got the strength and we got the know-how. Like, why we ain't doing that?
Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome again to this episode of this videos where we sit down and discuss all matters Black Africans, Black Americans, and rising up to the challenge and taking up our rightful position in global platforms. My name is Ndero Ganga. I am a business journalist by profession. You can catch me on my YouTube channel at Ndero Ganga, or you can connect with me on social media at Ndero Ganga on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I bumped into a very interesting video of Akon, and he, as usual, Akon is a very controversial figure, so you never know what you will get with him from some of these interviews that he does. But this one stood out to me because he mentioned some of the things that I think cut really deeply with some of the people that I've interviewed before. So on my YouTube channel, I do this series called the Diaspora series, where I interview people who've relocated back to the continent or are just visiting the continent from Europe, America, and even the Caribbean. And I have interviewed so many people, over 50 people, and the sentiment is always the same. First things first, so many people have told me that they do not feel like they are Black in Ghana. And it never occurred to me like this is a big deal until I began talking to them in more intimate levels. And people would tell you that when you live in certain places, particularly the West, you're very aware of your skin color, and not in a positive way, in a fearful manner and in a negative way. If you're a Black person, you know you're a Black person because you could be pulled over, because of how you're treated, because of how the system is set up. The system is literally not set up for you. It's set up for other races except Black people. And so as you're going about your day and you're living your life, there are constant reminders reminding you that you are a Black person in America, despite the fact that you and your ancestors are some of the people that built that country using your blood, sweat, and tears. There was a time I was watching a video of a young Black boy. He was playing basketball on their court right in front of their home, and immediately he had a police car. Like, he got on the ground, and I'm just like, wow. You know, the conditioning is even in kids. You tell your kids what to do when they encounter the police just because of their skin color. And then when you come to Ghana, none of that exists. And not just Ghana, Africa, but some of the people that I interviewed live here and have traveled here. And this is some of the things that they say. It just never exists anymore.
There was just this increasing racial tension in the United States that had me thinking about myself and then my son, of what kind of life I wanted to have for him and legacy I wanted to have for him. And I just didn't want to raise him in a society where he's being constantly bombarded with the ugliness of racism every single day. And the more and more I would come to Ghana for those immersion trips for my organization, the harder it was for me to go back to the States, because I was experiencing what freedom felt like, just to be free. And then going back to a place where I'm now confined to the color of my skin, regardless of whether or not there's opportunities to prevail and succeed, it was still that constant subconscious understanding that I'm different.
In listening to Tim, I sort of understood what he was saying, but the magnitude of it did not sink in, because sometimes you're just like, oh, maybe this is one isolated incident where he just likes being in Africa. But of all the people that I've interviewed, the sentiment has always been the same. I do not feel black. I do not feel the way I'm meant to feel in America or in Europe. And when Akon was speaking on this matter, he says that there are so many things that Africans are systematically fighting to beat or to break down. And when you come to Africa, those things do not exist because the system here is made for people that look like you.
Like, my goal is to get everybody to move back to Africa. That's my goal.
Okay.
I want to get as many African Americans back home to Africa as I possibly can. Because I know the day they move back, everything they fighting for in America, they will not have to fight for over there. All this struggle that they struggling over there, they're going to come there with this mindset, with this mentality, with the finances that they built, the equity in life, and bring it back and invest that in Africa. Man, Africa could be the strongest nation in the world if y'all went back home.
Another thing that Akon said that I like is the place of the diaspora or Black Americans on the continent. Let me explain this how I understand it. So I've also interviewed so many people who've come to the continent and they're surprised at how things work, at how backward the continent is, and why we accept certain things the way we accept it. Now, I would say one of the reasons why Africa is the way it is and Africans accept what they're given is because most of us, and when I mean most, I mean many Africans have not been exposed to alternative facts, right? I did not know that a whole world of better infrastructure, healthcare, service existed until I traveled out. So what you get is what you think is the standard. And though you can say, oh, improve it a little bit, but what are you benchmarking it on? So when the diaspora and African Americans come to Africa, one of the things they, for example, like in Ghana, they're always like, the customer service here is non-existent. And it will take somebody who's come from outside to let you know that how you're doing it is subpar to what other people across the world are doing. I was talking to somebody and they said, Africa should be far more developed than it is. You guys have everything that you need. You have the raw materials, you have the people, you have the goodwill, so why isn't it developed? So it takes people from outside who've seen better development, who've seen how systems should actually work. Even though these systems do not work in their favor, they actually work in somebody's favor, so they know that systems can work and systems should work in a certain type of way. And many of them have always expressed that sentiment. And so for Akon to say that Black Americans can develop Africa, I agree with it, because not necessarily that they are the Black Messiah or something, but because they are exposed to alternative facts of what development can look like outside of the confines of development in Africa through the African eye.
So we got everything that it takes to be that. We got the resources, we got the land, we got the population, and together we got the strength and we got the know-how. Like, why we ain't doing that? Just think, right? And I don't mean to drag it.
No, I love this.
We control entertainment. Mm-hmm. Imagine if all the Black entertainers decided to go back to Africa and just entertain in Africa, start our own businesses, labels, distribution companies, marketing companies, all that in Africa. We control sports.
Yeah.
Imagine if all the Black players went back to Africa to play sports in Africa. Not only would we be the star player, but we would own the team. Just imagine.
They wouldn't do that. They won't even boycott.
But that's my point. Just imagine if we all went and created our own official team. Just imagine. Do you think these sponsors will be putting all this money into NBA and NFL and all that if niggas wasn't playing in it?
No.
But guess where the viewers will be watching though? They'll be watching the channel in Africa, watching them niggas. Just imagine if LeBron started his own team in Africa, picked his own players. He would own not only the team, but can you imagine with his eye and his vision on what a player looks like? And there's players in Africa that's taller than Usain Bolt. Manute Bol. Manute was 7'2". I saw guys at 7'9".
Just walking around.
Like walking around. And we talk about speed, stamina, man, but they know this. They know how to utilize us because they just dangle the carrot. They know we ain't gonna ever come together. They know this already. So they always play us against each other. There's always this divide and conquer that always works and never
It's
fails.
a mentality that,
Our mentality is what we need to fix first. Once we
Yeah.
fix that, we'll be fine. So the question is, will you think we can ever do it? Our generation is too late. But our kids, we can start teaching them slowly but surely on how to adjust their mentality moving into the future. And then they're gonna make the uprising themselves. That revolt gonna happen with the kids. The mentality is already going there because they already too disruptive to follow the rules. But the moment they realize that the rules that they're actually, revolting against, they can be free if they just go back home and create their own rules, create their own systems, create their own avenues. Like, Africa's the only place black people can go and be free. It's the only place. It's like it's no other place. And the world is moving in that direction. So
Yeah.
Africa's being developed in a way that no other country in the world is being developed.
Yeah.
But hurry up and get there, because while y'all sitting around waiting, you got the Chinese over there building, getting money.
Right.
You got the Germans over there building, getting money. The Italians. I mean, everybody getting money but African Americans. Like,
This is okay. Let's because this is a business podcast, but I'm forgetting. Like, I'm getting so caught up, but it's so true. Like,
Right.
there's so many resources over
It's-
there, but the mentality is so small,
It's-
and no one wants to walk away from
no,
America.
it's fear. It's fear. Like, we've been brainwashed so hard to the point where the moment you mention Africa, people get scared and start shaking. And
Well, guys, this was just one of those short videos where I bumped into Akon's speech and I thought, oh, this is interesting. We should do a video. And then let me know what you think. Let me know if you're a Black American or you're African and what your sentiments on this video are. Do you think that there's a place for diaspora and African Americans to come to Africa and help develop the place and make it better? Well, thank you very much for watching. My name is Ndiro Ganga. Catch me again next time, or catch up with me on my YouTube channel at Ndiro Ganga, or connect with me on social media at Ndiro Ganga on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.